Hello folks, and welcome to Athens Treasures Live. We're your hosts. I'm Stephen Sherlin.
And I'm Scott Bredwell.
And today we're here at the McMinn County Living Heritage Museum on West Madison Avenue in the old McMinn County High School. It's located. And it's a fascinating place, a wonderful treasure of Athens. And Scott's going to take us on a tour of this with the director, Ann Davis. And we're going to learn more about Ann as well. So it's kind of a double whammy. So tell us about that, Scott, a 2-in-1.
Well, the 2-for-1 here is that the McMinn County Living Heritage Museum is literally a great treasure here in McMinn County. There's over 11,000 artifacts that they've got. Not all of them are here. Most of them are, a lot of them are in storage. But right now we're standing in the gift shop. I paused on that. We're standing in the gift shop, and in the gift shop you can get a lot of books about local heritage here and local history. It's going to be a great tour. I'm excited about it. I'm excited to talk to Ann some more.
Great. And just a note, I know you're enjoying these episodes, and just so you'll know that we don't always do these perfectly. We've done this one before, but because of yours truly, I didn't have the sound on, so we're redoing this episode, Scott.
So there's that 2-for-1.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're on the third floor, and I've got the director, Ann Davis, with me. How are you today, Ann?
I'm great, Scott. I hope you are as well.
I'm doing well. Tell us a little bit about how the museum got started.
Oh, gosh. That was back in 1982.
Okay.
And we started on the campus of Tennessee Wesleyan College in what is now known as Old College. It was a wonderful beginning for the museum. And I know when I came to work, I thought, well, you know, this is a perfect location. But as time went on, it kept getting more and more crowded. People were donating more and more things. And we realized we were going to have a bigger location. And at that time, Mayfields had bought this of course was the old high school, and Mayfields had bought this property. And they offered us this section of the property, which was the old cafeteria wing, only if we made it into a museum. To make a long story short, we were very fortunate in getting a lot of good government support. Muriel Mayfield and Minty Wilson headed up the effort, and we wound up with what we have today. And when we moved in here, I thought we will never in this world fill up this building, and we have over 11,000 artifacts. We are running over and had to buy another building recently right below us here.
Yeah.
To help house some of our things. We're just very blessed.
Well, it's an amazing museum, and I think one of the things that stuck out to me when you were talking just now is that people are donating. And a lot of the artifacts that are here are from people that live here in McMinn County.
Absolutely, the majority of them are, but I'm amazed at the people who want to send things back to McMinn County that belong to their families or that belong to them when they lived here. We just received 28 absolutely incredible quilts from Texas.
Wow.
And these are some of them extremely valuable quilts made back in the 1800s. But her mother's family was originally from Inglewood, and she wanted them to come back home to East Tennessee. So,
well, that's nice. You guys have an annual quilt show here as well.
We do.
And that's a great exhibit if you ever get a chance to come by and see that. Speaking of coming by and seeing it, it's $5 to get in. There is an elevator, because I know some people here are like, oh, we're on the third floor. No, there is an elevator, so if you need that, that's available to you as well. Where are we at right now? I mean, right here behind me is this log cabin. What's going on with that?
When we set up the museum, we try to set up areas that would accommodate school children, because we were gearing a lot of our exhibits towards, of course they're all towards the history of our region, but we wanted them also to be a teaching tool for the area's school children. And this log cabin is a prime example, because behind you can see you have a typical bathtub, and of course they only bathed once a week, so they shared the bath water, so hopefully you got in first.
Right.
But then the log cabin is a great example of how the early pioneer families, early settlers here lived, and examples of how they cooked on the stove, the type of bed they used with the trundle under it when they had children. It's a good teaching tool. It
is. And you've got a lot of teaching tools here as in regards to the Civil War.
Absolutely.
And I think what a lot of people don't realize, I mean, we think, oh, we're in the South and we were all Confederates, but that's not true when it comes to McMinn County, right?
You're exactly right, Scott. We were divided right down the middle.
Right.
And we have many stories in our archives of families with brothers who fought against brothers, and cousins against cousins. There's a book in our library right now that we just had reprinted called Torn Apart, and it is about the divisions in McMinn County.
And that's available downstairs. It's
available downstairs. You're exactly right.
One of the things that sticks out to me is the Van Dyke House.
Yes. The
Van Dyke House, for those of you who don't know, the Van Dyke House is that's Highway 30?
Yes.
That's Highway 30, just behind Save-A-Lot. It's the mansion that's up on that hill there. That actually, at one point, had a Confederate as well as a Union general that stayed there.
You're exactly right. In fact, that's the home represented on the mural back here up on the hill. And both of the generals camped there, And then the cemetery is now below there, where a lot of the Civil War soldiers are buried as well.
Right. I think the two generals that stayed there was one Nathan Bedford Forrest and General Sherman.
You're exactly right.
Wow, there we go.
That's what we've been told.
That's what we've been told.
Yeah.
Hey, let's go look at another exhibit that I think is very poignant to the history of McMinn County. Let's go look at the Battle of Athens exhibit.
Oh, okay. We'll go.
Thank you. Okay, so here we are on the main floor, which is actually, I think, the second floor of the museum. And this is the exhibit to the Battle of Athens. So a little bit about the Battle of Athens for people who don't know, Anne. What's that about?
Oh, the Battle of Athens probably is the most famous event, of course, that happened in McMinn County. And that was over the counting of ballots. They felt like there when the GIs came back from World War II, they discovered that they felt that there was unfair elections being held. And
so that's not new for today?
Not hardly. Not hardly. And but because of that, things really escalated and turned into a full-fledged, it was a battle. And we have all the history on it here. We have brochures, we have books for sale in the gift shop, and then our exhibit we have. And this was a very hard exhibit to do. We wanted to do it as fairly as possible and as truthfully as possible. And we used information from both Joe Guy and Steve Byram because we felt both of the books and articles they had written were more factually relevant than anything that we had seen. And then, but telling the story, we could get that out because we have a whole collection of newspapers and different things that we could use. But artifacts, trying to collect artifacts from the battle turned out to be a very difficult thing. And we don't have as many. I'd love to have more if we could find more.
So if you've got some.
Yes, if you've got some, we would certainly be interested, and they would be well preserved and well taken care of. But we do have a few things here. You can see maybe the type of the guns that were used during the battle. The ballot, this is a typical ballot box. This is not an actual ballot box, but it's typical of the kind of ballot box that was used to hold of course, the votes that were cast. And we have several things here belonging to Paul Cantrell. And this is the horse collar from Tom Gillespie. Tom played a big, from his horse, I'm sorry, and he played a big part in the Battle of Athens. In fact, he was shot when he was trying to vote. So there's quite a story here, and hopefully we've told it in the best way possible.
Now, when we say battle, we're not talking just like a protest. We're talking gunshots, explosions,
Absolutely.
Cars being turned over. I think your own father was injured, right?
He was injured. He was a poll watcher, and felt that he saw some things that did not seem fair, and he tried to leave and was held at gunpoint. And he and another gentleman, Ed Vestal, and he wound up breaking through the plate glass window and coming out that way. They felt if they stayed that it was, of course, counted legal as long as they had poll watchers on both sides. So that was his. He was cut up somewhat,
But he was okay.
He was okay. He was, and it's, the wonderful thing about it was, though, the way the community reconciled. MGM wanted to come in here right after the Battle of Athens and do a movie, and some of them actually signed to play their own parts. And then after the residents got together, they decided that was not a good idea. That would probably just fuel things and stir up more problems and trouble, and they were just starting to settle down, and they decided that the best thing for the community was healing and reconciliation, and I really, really admire them for that.
Well, and that's why we're called the Friendly City.
That's why we're called the Friendly City, exactly. And
one of the amazing things that strikes me about the battle is that no one died. These were, although they were at odds, they were still friends and have been friends. And I've told you a story I've heard, and you've told me stories you've heard about people who were against each other in the battle, but later went bird hunting together.
Absolutely.
I mean, it was over.
Yeah.
It's over, and that's what I appreciate it. Let's go downstairs and see what we got down there.
Okay, we'll go that way.
Well, because I'm easily distracted, we were heading downstairs, and Ann pointed out this room that's got a lot of Christmas-oriented or themed things in there. What's this behind us, though? I mean, that just caught my eye.
I am so excited about this part of the exhibit. Scott, these are all nutcrackers.
Okay, that's not the nutcrackers I see at the store.
No, not hardly. This is a substantial collection and owned by a private collector who loaned this to us for this exhibit. And they're from Germany. There's some from Switzerland, American. It's just a fabulous variety, and you can see everything in here. Animals, people, they're almost beyond description, and you really have to get up close to appreciate the carvings in some of them because they're all hand done.
So all these are hand carved pieces. I would just use the word art.
Yeah, they really are art.
I mean, I would almost, if I had this at my home and you picked it up to use it for a nutcracker, I think I'd get upset.
What some of these are worth today, yes, I would be very upset too.
Well, thank you for showing me this. Let's go downstairs.
All right.
You go over here. Oh, well,
Yeah, well, we have some other
we're
things.
not going downstairs. We got some more stuff up here.
Okay. Now we have some other things in this room. We have 2 rooms here that were set up just expressly for Christmas, and you can just see a variety of things: the lady at her spinning wheel, the rocking horse, the traditional tree, and the tree is decorated with a lot of ornaments. Some are replicas of the type of ornaments that children might have made back then. And a family set up ready to eat Christmas dinner. So we hope people will come and enjoy a little Christmas with us this year.
Great. So we're downstairs, and downstairs there's not really a lot of exhibits downstairs. I mean, right now we're in front of the folk art exhibit, and you were telling me these are what, local artists that made these?
Yeah. Everything here is made by local artists in this cabinet, and we've got a couple of more cabinets as well, and then some larger examples sitting around down here. But we needed an area just for our local craftspeople. And folk art is, to me, I love folk art because it's what's conceived in someone's mind and they have not been trained professionally. Usually they are self-taught, or maybe taught by people who were self-taught. And it's just a way that people express themselves through different types of folk art.
Well, I like this area too. Not only is this the folk art exhibit, which is a small exhibit compared to what we were looking at upstairs, but you've got this huge conference room that's back behind the camera here. What do we use that for?
That's for special events and exhibits. Our annual holiday house is held here every year. We have programs normally every other Saturday. We have what's called Heritage School, and we'll have programs that they're open to the public. We have a history for lunch once a month, the 4th Thursday of every month, and we have it down here. And normally we have someone speak, or we show videos that we've recorded through the years. The last one we showed down here was of J. Neil Insminger. And when he was still alive, we were able to get a good video of him. And several of the people we show, they are deceased, but it's nice to have that as a treasure that we can remember them by.
And that's a great segue. One of the things that you guys have, and you guys can follow this online, subscribe to their Facebook page, your YouTube channel as well, is one of the projects that you do is you actually interview icons or treasures or people who of influence here in McMinn County. And what I like about that is you're putting this archive up there of just what you said, like with Mr. Insminger. He's deceased, but we've got this archive.
Exactly. We try to feature that, and we're trying to capture histories of people also who have contributed a lot to our community. And it's just been a fascinating project. We started doing it just during the bicentennial at Joe Guy's suggestion. And we've continued because we've had so much fun with it and it's been so popular.
Well, I know I've watched them. I've enjoyed them. I don't know if I've ever told you that, but
Well, good.
I've watched them. I
I'm
enjoy
glad.
them. Speaking of people in the community, I mean, you're pretty busy in this community.
A little bit.
I mean, you were council member, mayor. You've been the director here. I know you've been involved with a lot of faith groups, a lot of various organizations. Trash the Treasures.
Yeah.
I mean, you've done a lot here. What got you involved with that?
I think it was how I was raised. My family, my mother and father were raised by families who gave to the community and they believed in it. And it was just instilled in me. I never really thought anything about it. It was just a way of life that they instilled in us growing up. And I'm thankful and hopeful that my daughter continues the tradition. She's very active in working with the homeless people and those with addictions, and I'm very proud of that. But it's just a way of life, and I've been so blessed to be a part of this community and be involved in it in a variety of ways.
Well, and that leads another segue you just made me think of. Opportunities for people to be involved with the museum. What's available?
We love volunteers. We are always looking for volunteers, people who might want to come and help out in the office, fill in occasionally, just answering the phone. We've got opportunities if they want to work with the collection. We'd be glad to have that help. We will train them. We have our guild. There's a 60-member guild, and they do both of our fundraisers, our Trash to Treasure sale and Holiday House. We have a Quilt Guild, and they are always looking for people who would like to learn to quilt or already quilt and just want to have fun and fellowship with a good group of women. And there's about 40 women in that. So we're blessed with volunteers, but we'll be more than happy to have more.
Well, thank you for showing me around the museum today. I really appreciate it. I appreciate the friendship you and I have shared over the years.
Absolutely, Scott.
And I appreciate everything that you've done for this community. If you want to learn more about the museum, just swing on by. Like I said, it's $5 to get in, which isn't that much. And it's a great, how would I say this? It's a great reminder of our heritage here in McMinn County. And well, there you go, McMinn County Heritage Museum. That's why they call it that. Thank you, Ann.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
All right, let's say bye. Bye. Okay, we're back. I had a few more questions with Ann, mainly because I'm selfish and I enjoy her so much.
We go back a long way, Scott.
We do. It
Yeah,
was,
I
the
had
80s.
you in youth Bible study.
Right,
Yeah.
way back then. So you were born and raised here in McMinn County, right?
Absolutely.
How long has your family been here? Do you know?
Oh, as long as I can remember. But my grandparents on my mother's side lived in the lower end of McMinn County, and my father's family's mostly from Meigs County, so we've got deep roots right in the area.
Yeah, so and I guess another question I meant to ask earlier when we were talking about the history of the museum and how it got started, how did you get involved with it?
I think it was just a love of history. I'd been in computers, and they're not real personable. I
have a love-hate relationship with them.
Yes, but I had worked in the computer departments of a couple of industries here, and this job became available, and I applied for it, and it was one of the best decisions I've ever made, because I do love this place. It's been my second child, as you know, and
Right.
It's just been a very gratifying experience.
So you've been the director twice, though, right?
Yes, I keep coming back.
You should have.
But I was here for 20 years, and as you know, my husband developed terminal cancer, and I retired a little bit early from the museum and took care of him. And one of the last things he told me before he died, though, was I needed to run for public office. He said, "You seem to know everybody in the community. You were born and raised here, and that's something you need to do, because you're going to need to be busy." Because I had retired, and my whole life had just changed.
Right.
And so I did, and that was 8 years of some of the most gratifying work I've ever done. I loved the workforce development and economic development, and was able to bring some awards back to Athens for that type of work, and it was a wonderful experience. And then the museum director was transferred. Her husband was transferred, and they asked me to step back in and I did. And I said, we can do this a couple of years is what we agreed on, and that was 7 years ago.
7 years ago.
Yes. So, but I'm here part-time, and it's just been a wonderful experience to be involved. And this community just gives back so much. I have never given more than I've always received much more. I think the one thing that I would like to impart that my mother instilled in me is that volunteering is an exercise in democracy, because each time you volunteer, you're voting for the kind of community in which you wish to live.
I love that. That's beautiful. Every time I volunteer, every time I go and do something for someone, I'm voting for the world I want to live. It's that old adage, be the change you want to see.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
And we talked about this, I know personally once before, about how even though I might go volunteer at a food bank, or I might volunteer at the museum, or I might volunteer, with a festival that's going on, and I'm helping the community or I'm helping people, but what I receive from that is just so much more.
Absolutely.
I wonder why that is.
I really think that you're taking your focus off of yourself and thinking of others. And
so it's that whole love your neighbor as yourself.
yeah, I really think that when you can take your focus off of yourself and put it on other people and other needs, that it changes you, because
Right.
you're not just thinking about yourself all the time.
Well, that's beautiful.
And it's very easy to get down, if you think, oh, well, I'd like to have this, or I wish I could do that, or, I wish I didn't have all the wrinkles, or I wish I could operate like I did when I was 25, whatever. There's lots of ways you can get depressed and be turned inwardly, and I think volunteering keeps your focus on that, and your faith. I think it takes a great deal of faith to be able to hopefully to recognize your shortcomings, and I'm still learning every day. I've got a long way to go in that department.
Well, I was listening to a guy the other day talk about how sometimes when he's feeling sick, you get down and you're just tired. He said, but one thing he noticed was that if he had something that he was passionate about or doing, he could go do that and not feel as sick physically. He was talking to his doctor about it, and his doctor said, well, that's just because your adrenaline's kicking in and your body's wanting to heal, because you're going to go out here and do this thing that you love and you're passionate about. Yeah. And one of the things I like about this community, and I'm sure every community is the same, is there are a lot of opportunities here for you to find something you're passionate about.
Absolutely.
Yours was history.
Absolutely.
And serving the community. Like I said, there's food banks, there's homeless shelters. Not as many as I'd like to see, but
Yes.
but they are here, and there are opportunities to serve and help make the friendly city a little bit more friendlier.
More friendly. Absolutely. And Scott, I'm so proud of what all you've done with your life.
Well, your words are too kind. Thank you.
No, I really am.
So let's say bye again. I'll see you guys later.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And so I would like to share with you a note from Ann Scott Davis, Director of the McMinn County Living Heritage Museum. Ann writes, "Why history? History nurtures personal identity in a diverse world. People discover their place in time through stories of families, communities, and our nation. History is the foundation for strong, vibrant communities. A history museum becomes a place where a community is wrapped in family stories, traditions, and treasured artifacts. History is a catalyst for economic growth. Communities with cultural heritage institutions and a strong sense of historical character attract talent, increase tourism revenues, enhance business development, and fortify local economics. History helps people envision a better future. Weaving history into discussions about contemporary issues clarifies differing perspectives and misperceptions. We learn from our mistakes. History can lead to a greater understanding and viable community solutions. History inspires leaders. History provides today's leaders with role models as they navigate through the complexities of life. History, saved and preserved, is the foundation for future generations. Historical history is crucial to protecting democracy. By preserving authentic and important documents, artifacts, stories, and more, future generations have a foundation on which to build and know what it means to be a member of the civic community. We are making and preserving history at the museum. There are volunteer opportunities available if you would like to join us. Your support is always appreciated." And so writes Ann Scott Davis, Director of McMinn County Living Heritage Museum. Ann is a wonderful person. She is very involved in our community, and we appreciate her time today sharing with us this wonderful treasure of the museum and the treasure of herself. Come and get to know the museum and the director, Ann Scott Davis. Well, this concludes another episode of Athens Treasures Live. I almost forgot where we were and what we were for a minute, but how wonderful it is to come and share these wonderful treasures of Athens. And Scott, you do such a great job.
Well, you're
sharing.
too kind. This is a great example of the quilts that they have on display during their annual quilt show. This one was made around the late to mid 1800s or mid to late 1800s. All this was hand stitched. Usually after coming in and working in the fields all day, they come in and work on a quilt for their families. So there's a lot of great treasures here. And again, I want to encourage you to come down and take a tour of the museum and just take it in. Find out what's going on here in McMinn County or what has taken place here in McMinn County.
You'll be glad you came. So until next time, folks, be sure to find the treasures of Athens, the businesses, the restaurants, the places, and the people.
And share this.